What's going on, my little Vikingers? I'm Relaxed Gamer here, and welcome to, well, I would say a reaction video, but I mean, I guess it's also kind of a educational, Yu-Gi-Oh! Educational video. Apart from the Yu-Gi-Oh! WWE tournament that we watched like a couple of days ago. But, yeah, no, I got curious as I stated in the video, in the last video, and in my title, that I am a noob to this game in general. I was born in 1993. I was around for the original Yu-Gi-Ohs, but I never played nor watched. So I'm 32 years old now, and yeah, let's just say I'm noob. But anyway, let's get into this. We're going to be learning / reacting to the SEAL of Orichalcos. I'm also right now in the stages of learning how to summon and use all 3 Egyptian god cards. Actually 4 if you decide you want to count Exodia. But as far as that lore goes, Exodia doesn't count as an Egyptian god card. He's a forbidden card. Anyway, let's get right into it and have some fun watching and learning about the SEAL of Orichalcos.
The SEAL of Orichalcos was an interesting card in the anime. It was created by taking a fragment of a space rock and smushing it into a card. And as a result, it has some really interesting abilities. Some that might surprise you, actually. So I thought for today, let's go through them all. Let's go. If thou would seek our power, a great power dwells within thyself. It shall dwell within. Offer unto us a sacrifice, and we shall be resurrected. These are the words inscribed in Enochian at the base of the SEAL of Orichalcos card. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell us much about what the card can do. What this text does seem to do is act as words from the Great Leviathan, speaking directly to whomever wields the card. The Orichalcos god, as it's known in the Japanese, is basically saying that, listen, I'll give you some of my power, but in exchange, I just need a human soul. It doesn't have to be yours, it can be somebody else's.
You motherfucker!
Unit ready.
YouTube, I hate you!
But I'm not picky. If you lose a duel, I'm taking your soul. And then, of course, when enough souls have been devoured, the Great Leviathan can rise again. So that is what the purpose of this card is.
So that's what that inscription means. Okay. So basically the card is just stealing your soul. How does the card even get that power anyway? Like what gave that space rock that card the ability to steal someone's soul? How did that see that I hope that gets answered in this video that we're watching, because that right there about the card mentioning about stealing a soul, like I want to know how the card even gets that ability, because it can't just be because of that inscription is the reason why, like, oh, so your soul is mine now. Like, no, there's got to be a reason behind it. You know what I mean?
However, the question then becomes, what does this card do outside of a duel when it's used? Well, the seal creates an impenetrable barrier around both duelists. This Orichalcos barrier prevents any duelist from leaving and prevents any duelist from entering. In fact, when it's formed, it will force anybody not in the duel outside of itself, and any obstructions that are inside of the field will be removed for the purposes of the duel. This is done so that there are no distractions during the duel. However, there is a way to circumvent this impenetrable wall rule. And that is, the seal can be broken if you have a fragment of the Orichalcos stone. Since the Orichalcos created the seal, I I guess it's only logical that another piece of Orichalcos can also break it. We see this occur during Joey and Mai's duel, when Valan is able to break the seal by using his piece of Orichalcos. He did this in order to save Mai from having her soul taken. Think of these Orichalcos stones that they have as a get out of jail free card. They can use it once or use it for someone else. Or
yeah, so that to me makes sense. The thing that creates it could also have the ability to tear itself apart. That kind of goes with the notion of like real life too. Like or let's use Marvel for instance, right? Vibranium. Captain America's shield is made out of vibranium. So, and apparently it's the strongest metal on Earth. So nothing else that is not vibranium can destroy it except vibranium, which we all thought to be true, unless Thanos's double-headed sword was built out of vibranium. But as I said, yeah, it makes sense that the only thing that could destroy something powerful is itself, for aka self-destruction, and to use it to save someone else other than yourself is actually freaking awesome, in my opinion.
all mystical powers are negated within the seal. We see Yugi unable to break the seal with his Millennium Puzzle in his first duel against Garimo. In fact, he even states that all Millennium items' powers are negated inside of the seal. This could also mean that all of the individual powers of the Millennium items are also negated inside of the seal. Say Pegasus still had his Millennium Eye, he wouldn't be able to read minds when he dueled. This could also mean that Yugi, who has the power to will cards to the top of his deck when he is in a very, very dire situation, that ability is negated too. However, I'd be fine if you want to argue against that, because in his duel against Darts, he seemed to draw pretty well towards the end of the duel. However, you could argue against that as well. It was the power of friendship that got him the cards he needed, or it was the legendary dragons themselves that helped him out in the duel.
Yeah, but why?
On that one. The Seal of Orichalcos is able to have all monsters you control become dark attributed. Now that's got.
Okay, so I don't believe this one here. I don't know why, but something about this one here don't seem right. But also, why are all like Millennium abilities like that negated? Can somebody in the comments like explain that one that knows about the Seal of Orichalcos? Explain that to me, because like I'm curious. I am just curious. Why is it negated?
Your attention. I know what you're saying. This is Orichalcos can't do that, right? Well, during the first ever duel we see where the seal is used, Garimo states that all of his monsters have become dark. Later in the duel as well, Joey reiterates this. So, that confirms it, right? Two characters said the monsters turned dark attributed. That's a hidden ability of the Seal of Orichalcos that...
Let's see this guy, Artemis.
And
he's got a beak. He's got his weapon like a sniper rifle. He's got his ammunition kit.
No one seems to reference. Is that the case? No. I wanted to try and prove this, so I did some sleuthing, and unfortunately I proved the opposite. During Kyber's duel with Alistair, he summons his Balrog monster, which gains attack whenever a fire-attributed monster is summoned to the field. Alistair then reveals that since his Balrog is also fire-attributed, its own summon boosts its own attack. So yes, apologies, I'm a stinky liar. I saw Garimo say something about dark, whatever. I thought, ooh, is this a secret ability of the Seal of Orichalcos nobody knows about? No, that wasn't the case. When he said his monsters turned dark, he just meant, oh, they're evil now, I guess. I don't know why.
So I kind of figured this one was a lie, considering that everything that I've looked up and everything that my two friends have been telling me have been about, you know, the attribute of the monster, whether it be light, dark, earth, water, wind, shit like that. And then when I asked, because I did ask, is there any way, that a card or I can change the ability of the card or the attribute? Change the attribute of the card. I was met with a resounding no by both of them, so me wanting to look it up like I always do when I'm very curious. No. I was met with resounding no's across the board, maybe a couple of yeses, and they all said the same thing because the dude said, "Oh, because the Seal of Orichalcos, my monsters are now become dark." Like it's, I guess that line in general could just be misinterpreted for what you want to believe out of it, right?
I'd say that, but yeah, sure. They're evil, why not? The seal cannot be destroyed by card effects. This is a weird one, because most of us assumed that the Seal of Orichalcos, well, it couldn't be destroyed by card effects at all. And that makes sense for a boss card of all of the evil characters in the show. However, only once throughout the entirety of the Waking the Dragons arc did anybody ever attempt to destroy the Seal of Orichalcos. Yugi used Dust Tornado to attempt to destroy it. However, nothing happened. Garimo simply laughed and said this cryptic line.
何?結界が消えない!オレイカルコスの結界はオレイカルコスの力でなければ決して消滅させることはできない。決して消滅させることはできない。
Yugi and us as the audience took this statement as facts. We believe that, I guess if somebody activates the Seal of Orichalcos, it's there to stay till the end of the duel. There's no point ever trying again to try and destroy the card. Okay. However, is that really the case? The only other time we see the Seal of Orichalcos removed from the field is by Yugi when he used a card that was made specifically to remove the seal from the field. The only other time before that was when Darts removed it himself, so that he could activate an advanced version of the Seal of Orichalcos.
I wonder if these cards are still out there somewhere.
The Konami employee who was creating the real-world Seal of Orichalcos, and this is what he had to say when asked this question. What happens if the seal is negated or destroyed? Oh, that's easy. Just make it completely invulnerable to everything and irreplaceable like it is on TV, is what I'd expect most people to suggest. Except that's not what the card did on TV. Other field spells could be activated and did remove the seal from the field. It's just that the only person who ever did this was Darts, and his other field spells shared the seal's power. Yugi tried to destroy it once and never tried it again, trusting Garimo, who, note, was a criminal, a crazy man under the influence of the seal. He trusted his word that it totally can't be destroyed. No way, no how. Can't leave the field, definitely not lying, I swear. Reading for this statement, it makes you think, yeah, I guess Garimo could have been a liar. He might have been bolstering how...
Oh, come on! Listen, I'll level one out of here.
Indestructible the Seal of Orichalcos might have been. And unfortunately, without any other evidence, I can't give a real answer to this. However, I want to pose this question to all of you. What was the level of protection the Seal of Orichalcos had? Was it A, it can't be destroyed once per turn, B, it can't be destroyed by card effects, or C, it's unaffected by other card effects?
So I'm gonna go with C. It's unaffected by other card effects. I'm curious what you guys are gonna choose. If it's A, can't be destroyed once per turn, or B,
all monsters you control gain once per turn. B, it can't be destroyed by card effects. Or C,
yeah,
it's unaffected by...
I'm gonna choose C. So I'm curious what you guys are gonna choose. Let me know in the comment section down below. And then also let me know the reasons why you guys chose what you chose the answer that you chose.
Other card effects. All monsters you control gain 500 attack. Your spell and trap zones are also treated as monster zones. While you control a monster or monsters in your main monster zones, monsters in your spell and trap zones cannot be targeted for attacks. You can move monsters from your main monster zones to your spell and trap zones, or from your spell and trap zones to your main monster zones. Bit of a clarification with this ruling as well.
Yeah, because I'm
monsters
confused.
summoned into the spell and trap zone, they can attack still. They're not like stuck behind the monsters and they have to be moved up to attack. If a monster's in the back row, you can attack your opponent if you want to. The best example, he used Shuneros, which was summoned into the back row. It was able to attack, and it destroyed Kaiba. However, what happens if the seal is removed from the field while there are monsters in the spell and trap zone? Do they go to the grave? Do they stay on the field until they're removed of their own accord? Well, we get the answer to this again with Shuneros. Shuneros was summoned into the spell and trap zones. The Orichalcos field spell was removed from the field. Shuneros remained on the field. Was it moved into the main monster zones? Or did it stay in the spell and trap zones? I have no idea, but it stayed on the field. Send from your field to the graveyard all legendary dragons, legendary knights, or fusion monsters that use them for their summons. And if you do, return the non-legendary fusion material back to the field. Basically, you can't use any of the legendary dragons, any of the legendary knights, or the legendary dragon fusion forms in conjunction with the Seal of Orichalcos. We only see this happen once. This is where Yugi plays the Seal with Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, on the field. The legendary dragon freaks out, abandons the duel, and Dark Magician Girl is returned to the field. Note that this effect might not be an effect of the Seal of Orichalcos, or rather just...
So, does that mean... If me, the duelist, is using a legendary dragon, does that mean if my opponent has the card already out on the field, I can't summon the dragon? Or is it strictly if I summon dragon and then play Seal of Orichalcos, does my dragon go away? I'm curious about that one.
A decision that the legendary dragons make when the person that they put their trust into betrays them by using the very thing they are fighting against.
Okay, I should have just shut the fuck up.
Probably not a rule, but it is fine. Also, side note, it's interesting to think that if Kaiba or Joey would have activated the Seal of Orichalcos with one of their legendary dragons on the field, then what would have happened is the legendary dragon would have left the field, and probably the trap card that Kaiba used that he merged his monster with would have been set back face down on the field, or if it was with Joey, the spell card that he used would have gone back to the field. So it's kind of cool. I should have just
waited because he just answered that.
Go a bit evil, I guess. That would have been spicy. When the duel ends, the loser's soul is sealed inside the Seal of Orichalcos. If a duel ends in a draw, no one's soul gets taken. Don't worry about it. However, if somebody does lose, well, their soul gets put inside of the Seal of Orichalcos that was used in that duel. Yes, these cards are a one-time use thing. You use them, someone loses, someone gets sealed inside of that card, the card is done. You take it back to Darts, you give it to Darts, gives you a pat on the head, gives you a fresh, brand new Seal of Orichalcos, go find someone else, get me a new soul. Now, it's worth noting there is a way of cheating this system, if you will. If you were the one to use the Seal of Orichalcos and you lost, as you're losing, you genuinely accept and face the darkness in your heart, then the seal, which, keep in mind, feeds off negative thoughts and emotions and things like that, well, it'll malfunction and just won't take your soul. However, if you have a relapse later on, Raphael goes up to Darts, gets really annoyed again, it will take your soul. Finally, the seal can be upgraded twice by activating 2 field spells. The first is Orichalcos Deuteros. Activate this card by sending 1 face up the Seal of Orichalcos to the graveyard. Can't be activated on the same turn as the Seal of Orichalcos. All effects of the Seal of Orichalcos are retained in this card. With the addition, once per turn during your main phase, gain 500 life points for each monster you control. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you contribute 1 monster to destroy the attacking monster. The seal can then be upgraded again with Orichalcos Tritos. Activate this card by sending one face-up Orichalcos Deuteros to the graveyard. Can't be activated on the same turn as Orichalcos Deuteros. All effects of the Seal of Orichalcos and Orichalcos Deuteros are retained within this card, with the addition, once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap effect that targets a monster you control, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And with that,
why is there dial-up?
All of the effects and rules of the Seal of Orichalcos.
So my main questions I've actually asked throughout the video, right? But I also want to know, is there still like IRL versions of these 3 cards out there? And if so, how much are they? Because I couldn't imagine the Seal of Orichalcos being like a very cheap card. I couldn't imagine that. I'm probably gonna look it up because I'm probably gonna want to add all 3 of them to my deck that I got, as you guys know, that I mentioned in the previous video. I run the 3 times Blue Eyes White Destiny deck. I have also added some cards to it, mainly the 3 Egyptian God cards. So, and I am still within tournament regulations. I'm still under 60 cards. So, maybe if I find these cards and I can manage to buy them, might be able to add them to the deck and hopefully probably be like within the 60 card limit. But yeah, no. So if anyone out of the questions that I've asked throughout this video, if anyone could shine some light, please do. Like, I'm just curious as to like how the card is. Like, okay, so the stealing the soul part, I guess, is because you go visit some dude who does some witchy voodoo magic to the card and whatnot. I'm curious. I'm just curious if anyone else who could shine more light onto what this card actually does, please let me know. Like, please step forward and let me know. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for watching. All my links to my Discord, my Twitch, and my merch shop will be in the description below. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!